All right, so get this. We're diving deep today into the future of food. And one company might just hold the key to feeding a planet that is, absolutely bursting with people.
Right.
We're talking about Nutrien.
Okay.
And the reports that we got
Yeah.
from global trends to Nutrien's own projections, let's just say things are about to get very interesting.
I love it.
So what's so fascinating about Nutrien?
Well, they wear a lot of hats.
Okay.
They're the world's biggest potash producer.
Wow.
A major player in nitrogen and phosphate fertilizers.
The stuff that makes plants practically leap out of the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they're not just about the raw materials.
Okay.
They've also got this rapidly expanding ag solutions brand.
Oh, interesting.
Making them a one-stop shop for farmers looking to boost their yields.
Okay, so they're set up to be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But here's the million-dollar question.
Okay.
Can Nutrien actually help feed a world that's predicted to have almost 10 billion mouths to feed by 2050?
Well, to understand that, we need to grasp the scale of the challenge.
Okay.
By 2050, global demand for grains and oilseeds will hit over 5 billion tons annually.
Wow.
That's more food than we've ever produced before.
That's a lot of bread and cooking oil, to put it mildly.
Right.
I'm starting to see how Nutrien fits in.
Yeah.
We can't just conjure up more farmland.
No.
So we need to squeeze every ounce of productivity out of what we already have.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
That's where fertilizer comes in. And Nutrien's dominance in the market gives them a unique advantage.
Okay.
It's not just their size. They have a strategic edge with low-cost production and a global supply chain that can reach farmers all over the world.
Okay. So they've got potash, nitrogen, and phosphate, the big three of plant nutrition. But how big are we talking here? What kind of market are we looking at?
Let's just say the numbers are eye-popping.
Okay.
The potash market alone is projected to hit a staggering $82.6 billion
Wow.
by 2030.
Goodness.
Now, if you're thinking about investment opportunities, this is a sector to watch.
Definitely.
And nitrogen isn't far behind,
Okay.
with projections of a $94 billion market
Wow.
in the same time frame.
Now, whenever I hear a company talking about feeding the world, my inner skeptic comes out.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy to toss around words like sustainability. But are they actually putting their money where their mouth is?
I hear you, and it's always important to look beyond the buzzwords.
Right.
But Nutrien is doing more than just talking.
Okay.
They're making significant investments in carbon reduction programs and climate-smart farming solutions.
Oh, wow.
They're even taking steps to lower their own greenhouse gas emissions.
So it's not just about selling more fertilizer. It's about selling it in a way that benefits the planet.
Exactly.
It's like it.
And one of their most innovative initiatives is their focus on low-carbon ammonia production using CCUS.
What is that?
Or carbon capture, utilization, and storage.
Okay.
Imagine capturing the carbon emissions from fertilizer production.
Right.
And either using them for something else or storing them safely underground.
So it's like having your fertilizer and eating it too, environmentally speaking. That's pretty impressive if they could pull it off.
It is.
Earlier you mentioned digital farming.
Right.
And that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Think high-tech farms.
Okay.
Using AI data analytics and precision agriculture to optimize every aspect of crop production.
So robots planting seeds and drones monitoring crops. Are we in a sci-fi film?
Kind of.
Where does Nutrien fit into all of this?
Well, they're not building robots yet.
Okay.
But their Ag Solutions platform is a hub for all these cutting-edge farming technologies.
Wow.
And they don't just provide the tech.
Okay.
They have a network of crop consultants who offer real-world guidance to farmers.
So it's like they're offering tech support for the modern farmer.
Pretty much.
It's really interesting how they're combining traditional agricultural knowledge with these high-tech solutions.
Yeah.
But let's face it, agriculture is a risky business.
It is.
Prices fluctuate, weather can be unpredictable. It's not for the faint of heart.
No.
It's not. So where does that leave Nutrien?
Well, that's where their diversified portfolio becomes a real strength.
Oh.
By combining fertilizer production with services like retail and digital solutions, they're creating a buffer against those unpredictable market swings.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say.
Exactly.
Speaking of strategy, what specific targets are they aiming for with all this? What do their projections look like?
They're aiming high, that's for sure.
I like it.
Their own forecasts predict a 2 to 3 million ton increase in potash and nitrogen sales volume
Wow.
by 2026.
That's ambitious.
Yeah. They're also targeting retail adjusted EBITDA.
Okay.
That's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Yeah.
Between $1.9 and $2.1 billion.
Okay.
By 2026.
So they're not just aiming for growth, they're aiming for a whole lot of it.
Yeah.
And from what we've discussed so far, it doesn't sound entirely out of reach.
Right.
They seem to have a well-defined plan, particularly with their focus on high-margin proprietary products.
Absolutely.
And they're not stopping there.
No.
They're also laser-focused on operational efficiency, aiming for annual consolidated cost savings of about $200 million by 2026.
That's right.
Increased sales, higher profits, and lower costs. That's the trifecta right there.
It is.
But you know what they say?
What's that?
If it sounds too good to be true,
Yeah.
there have to be some challenges they're facing, right?
Of course, no success story comes without its obstacles.
Right.
Factors like fertilizer, price volatility, regulatory hurdles, and even geopolitical risks can throw a wrench in the best laid plans.
Yeah, definitely things to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And, those are things you should keep an eye on, but, they're not reasons to write Nutrien off.
Right.
But you should watch them.
Yeah, so they're playing the long game, they're hedging their bets, and they're adapting to a world that seems to constantly be changing. It's like they're building a resilient food system for the future.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that this isn't just about Nutrien success. This is about global food security.
Exactly.
Their ability to navigate these challenges has implications for literally billions of people.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Makes this whole deep dive even more intriguing.
It does.
We're not just talking about a company's bottom line. We're talking about how humanity gets fed. Which brings up another point.
Okay.
Nutrien's market position gives them a huge amount of influence over the future of food production.
It's true. And that kind of power comes with responsibility.
It's not just about producing enough food. It's about producing it in a way that's sustainable, accessible, and benefits everyone.
Right.
There's a lot of layers to consider here.
A lot of layers.
It really makes you think.
It does.
We need companies like Nutrien to step up and find solutions for a growing population. But at the same time, we have to be aware of the potential downsides of so much power concentrated in one place.
It's a balancing act for sure.
Right.
We've seen what can happen when industries become too centralized.
Yeah.
It can stifle competition and innovation, leading to higher prices and less choice for consumers.
And let's face it, when it comes to something as essential as food, we need a system that works for everyone, not just a select few.
Right.
So how do we make sure a company like Nutrien uses its influence responsibly?
That's a question that policymakers and regulators are grappling with right now.
Yeah, I bet.
How do we encourage innovation and efficiency while also safeguarding against potential monopolies?
Yeah.
It's not an easy task.
It's like walking a tightrope.
It is.
We need companies like Nutrien to be successful, but we also need checks and balances to ensure that they're operating in a way that benefits the entire food system.
One key element is transparency. Consumers have a right to know where their food comes from, how it's produced, and the impact that it has on the environment.
Absolutely. And farmers need options.
Yes.
They shouldn't be dependent on a single company for all of their inputs and technology.
Right.
A diverse and competitive marketplace is essential for driving innovation and ensuring fairness.
I couldn't agree more. Diversity is key.
Okay.
Both in terms of the crops that we grow and the companies that support agriculture. A resilient food system is one that can withstand shocks and disruptions, whether they're caused by climate change, political instability, or economic downturns.
So it's not just about Nutrien. It's about fostering an entire ecosystem of companies, technologies, and farming practices that can all work together to create a more sustainable and equitable food future.
Yeah.
We need a system that can adapt and evolve as the world changes around us.
Exactly. Nutrien may be a major player, but they're only one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
We need to think about the big picture and how to build a food system that works for everyone, not just a select few.
Exactly.
And that brings us back to you, the listener.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on all of this?
Right.
How do you think we can balance the need for increased food production with the considerations of corporate power and environmental sustainability?
A big question, and there are no easy answers.
Yeah.
But it's a conversation worth having.
Absolutely. The future of food is in our hands, both as consumers and as citizens.
Right.
What choices will you make? What actions will you take?
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We started with Nutrien and their potential role in meeting the growing global demand for food. We explored their market dominance, their push for innovation, and their efforts towards incorporating sustainability into their operations.
And we also raised some important questions about the potential downsides of corporate power in the food system and the need for checks and balances to ensure responsible and equitable practices.
So what are the key takeaways here?
Well,
first, Nutrien is definitely a company to watch.
Yeah.
They're poised to play a significant role in shaping the future of food production.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Their strategic advantages.
Yeah.
Their focus on innovation and their commitment to sustainability, at least on paper, make them a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely.
Right.
But as we've discussed, their power and influence come with responsibilities.
Absolutely.
Responsibilities to their shareholders, to the farmers that they serve, to the environment, and to all of us who depend on a stable and equitable food system.
So the next time you sit down for a meal, take a moment to consider the complex journey that food took to get to your plate.
I like that.
Think about the companies, the farmers, and the systems that make it all possible. And maybe ask yourself, what role can I play in shaping a better food future?
It's a thought-provoking question.
It is.
And one we hope you'll continue to explore.
I hope so too.
Now, before we wrap things up, let's dig a little deeper into the challenges Nutrien faces.
All right.
We touched on things like price volatility, regulatory hurdles, and geopolitical risks. But those are just the tip of the iceberg.
That's right. The agricultural landscape is constantly changing. And Nutrien has to navigate a complex web of factors that are often beyond their control.
For example, we've seen fertilizer prices skyrocket in recent years due to supply chain disruptions and increased demand. That volatility makes head and can lead to instability in the food market.
And then there are the regulatory hurdles.
Oh, yeah.
Governments around the world are increasingly focused on environmental sustainability.
Right.
Which means stricter regulations on fertilizer use and production.
Which is a good thing in the long run. But it can create challenges for companies like Nutrien who are trying to balance environmental responsibility with profitability.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And let's not forget about geopolitical risks.
Oh.
Conflicts, trade wars, and political instability can all have a major impact on the global food system.
Absolutely. Nutrien operates in a globalized world, which means they're vulnerable to events happening far beyond their borders.
Right.
A drought in one part of the world can send ripple effects through the entire supply chain, affecting prices and availability everywhere.
It's a reminder that the food system is interconnected.
Yeah.
What happens in one corner of the world can have far-reaching consequences.
It's true.
So with all these challenges in mind, is Nutrien truly equipped to navigate the uncertain waters of the future?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've certainly got the resources, the infrastructure, and the strategic vision, but success is never guaranteed, especially in a field as complex and volatile as agriculture.
Well, on that note of cautious optimism, I think we're just about ready to wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's always more to explore. We encourage you to continue researching, thinking critically, and engaging in the conversation about the future of food. Okay, so to recap, we started by asking if Nutrien can really help feed a booming population.
Right.
While also navigating a world that seems to get more and more complex every day.
Absolutely.
And based on what we've talked about, it seems like they've got a pretty solid game plan.
Yeah, I think so.
They've got the resources, the infrastructure, and that strategic vision. And they seem to at least be making the right moves towards sustainability, which, you know, is pretty crucial these days.
It's huge.
But as we talked about, there are also some pretty significant challenges that they need to overcome.
Of course.
Volatility in fertilizer prices, increasing regulatory pressures, and who knows what's going to happen with geopolitics.
Yeah, you never know.
All factors that could really throw a wrench in their plans.
It's true. There are no guarantees in this business.
Right.
But I think Nutrien is well positioned to adapt and evolve as the world changes around them. And they seem to be approaching this with a long-term perspective, which is encouraging.
Absolutely. They're playing the long game.
Yeah.
Which is what you need to do when you're dealing with something as essential as food security.
It's the only way.
And, it's not just about Nutrien.
Right.
It's about fostering this diverse and resilient food system with multiple players.
Yes.
Innovative technologies and sustainable practices.
All of it.
A system that can feed a growing population, but also protect the environment. And ensure equitable access to food for everyone.
That's the goal.
It's a tall order, but it's one we need to be striving for.
It is, and we believe that you, the listener, have a role to play in this journey.
Absolutely.
By staying informed, asking critical questions, and making conscious choices about the food that we buy and consume.
Right.
We can all contribute to a better food future.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
What kind of food future do you envision, and what steps can you take to make that vision a reality?
Great question.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
Until next time.